Everything comes together in our final episode of Car Crash Tutorial. We need to install another module. We're going to use a PyGame menu module so that we can create splash screens and start screens and end screens without a lot of having to do everything ourselves. So to do that, of course, we need to bring up our command line. Oop, my command line slid off here. And we would do pip install, there it is, pygame-menu. That'll install a bunch of libraries, which you can see that I just did that a little bit ago because I was testing the program. It adds everybody in, everybody's happy. We have a library now that we can easily create splash screens and start screens and all that. Well, the other thing we're going to add is some music. So there is a built-in mixer that allows us to mix our music. This is our standard 16-bit depth buffer size. My computer's pretty fast, so I don't need much of a buffer. 2 channels, so this is standard stereo. We just set up the mixer so PyGame is ready to play sounds. And we initialize the PyGame library. We've seen all this before. Time clock, events, load our background. All that stuff is, I don't think we had a car icon before. In the assets zip file that is in the car crash folder, you'll find all the music and images and icons and everything that we need. And then we display the window icon. So for example, we have now a little car in the corner. Yep, see there? We have a little car. Oh, and we have music, we have crash sounds. Okay. Anyway, we did add a little icon, just makes the program look nicer. Well, I don't want to go with the just normal font that would load into my menu and display my score and all that, so I chose Arial Black and 20. We also have to load our background music. So at this point, well, if you downloaded this at the beginning, you should have had all these things because everything that's here is in here. I do have a few extra things in here, but the main stuff that I'm using, like there's a boss, and I don't know if that's in there, but everything's in that zip file. You'd unzip it and you'll have most of this, which you should have done at the very beginning. All right, so we load our file into memory. If PyGame is playing anything else, which this is just a test, which it shouldn't be, that'll stop it. We set our volume. You can set it from 0 to mute to 1.0. This plays that music in a loop until the game stops. Cool. So we get all of our sound going. We create our sprites. Nothing new here. We've already done this. We've added our groups. We're checking for our events. We're checking for collisions. But now we added a self.display game over. So one of the things I was reading the other day is that when you're naming a method or a function, have a verb on it because a function does one thing. Like this function method checks collisions, that's all it does, and it does a really good job of doing that. Same thing with display game over. That's all it should do. Each method should have a single responsibility. So we're going to stop the background music. Stop! And then we play our crash, we load our crash wave in, we play it, we set the volume a little higher, we wait for a second, and now we have our PyGame menu. At the beginning, if you go way up here, we have import pygame_menu as PM. So PM is our object we can use to create our PyGame menu. And this is our display. This is our game over. So we have certain parameters to put in there. Of course, the title, game over. Well, I think that'd look better if it was capitalized. Then you know it's over. There we go. We'll change our documentation a little bit. We set this to the height of the game surface. That way we're covering the entire game surface, the width and height. I don't know, I just picked orange because I liked orange. There's a bunch of other themes. I should have added this in earlier. So PyGame menu is at pypy.org project PyGame menu. And if you just search for PyGame menu, you'll come up with this. It was just updated a few days ago, so they keep it up to date, which is nice. Here's our introduction. And I didn't realize that until I got here, but I had us install PyGame menu, and we really want the pygame-menu-ce. So I'll uninstall the other one, and let's go here. There's PyGame. Well, I guess it is actually PyGame menu-ce. So that's the one that we want to install. They're both the same. What this will give you is some help. Well, this doesn't give you much help, does it? Not terrific. Comprehensive documentation is very right here. Now we have everything we need. What are the themes? There's all kinds of information here. Like you could create your own theme. Well, there's a theme blue. There's the predefined ones, which I probably should have picked some of the others, but I kind of like that one. I mean, I think that's my favorite color still. That's my favorite combination. And you can create your own if you're really wanting to. Well, back to our game where we created our end part. You can also create a beginning part too if you wanted. There's all kinds of places you can go after we've done this. So I have theme orange just because I kind of like the contrast and everything. We're going to add a label to it. With the score that we've been keeping track of, I added another label to provide a space between buttons. And then I added a button. Do you want to play again? Which this calls the main function to start over again. I added another label. And then I added a button that says, okay, we're done. Now we have to loop this function until we make a decision with the add or the play again button. So let's see how that works. Let's crash and burn our car. There we go. There's my first label. Oh, this is the title, game over. My first label, score 0. The next label with the empty string in it, play again is a button, and exit is a button. So I can either play again or exit. I'm going to go ahead and exit. And let's see, the play again button. And this button is, the difference in the buttons is just part of the, what would you call it, the theme? The theme of the program, because I didn't put in anything any different here. I put in the actions, and maybe it's because I put this in as the event action. So the PyGame menu has its own let's stop the game when we're done, because it's waiting for an exit event, which is when we click the button and then it exits. This part is the same. 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 Here's where we add our score. This gets interesting. This is why I added that black into the config. Black is an RGB color on any system. If we look at the config, black is the absence of color. The valid values are 0 to 255. Well, 000 means there is no color. And so I decided I'd have black, because black has a nice contrast against the rest of it. Then we have to draw it, and we have to decide where to draw it. Well, I drew it in the upper left-hand corner. So we blit that on, and we update. So let's see how our score works. You could change, the font color, the font size, whatever you want. Let's see as it goes. I crashed. There's my score, 2. And you could also save a JSON file or something, or pickle it. and save who has the best score. People register in it. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do to expand this program. I give some examples at the end of the car crash tutorial. So at this point, you can take it and do whatever you want. We've got ourselves a functional game that's pretty fun to play. So thus ends the adventures of the car crash PyGame tutorial. We'll see you later.